just don't know when to quit.
Yeah, I've been told that before.
Wow. Are you guys seeing this? I need a weapon.
Hello there.
You with you?
I thought church was you.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Slav's Free Talk Podcast, where we talk all things pulp culture. I'm your host, Slav, and hope everybody's having a good week. We have had quite a big week, or month, I should say, haven't we, Trevon? That's what he says over here. He says, boy, what a month this has been. It sure has been. And Critic Chris agrees. On this episode, we are going to talk about a few things. We got some Marvel things, we got some DC things, even a little Apple TV stuff, as well as a couple trailers dropped that I want to talk about. So let's dive in and talk about all of those things. What's going on, everyone? Glad you can make it on this Tuesday evening. I had to push the show day this week because of my mother's birthday. So it was her birthday yesterday and decided to celebrate with her. That was fun. And now the Watchtower at the end of this week, typically Watchtower's Thursday. I'm pushing that to Friday because I'm going to see Fantastic Four Thursday evening. I know, what a week, what a crazy week this will be for the shows, but Friday night will be the Watchtower. So for those of you who want to hang out with me on Watchtower, it will be Friday night. However, it could be a little different. And the reason why I say that is there could be something cooking with another podcast for Friday night. So regardless, if it's not a normal Watchtower, there will be some sort of show that I'm on Friday night. It could be the Watchtower, it could be something different. There will be a podcast with me Friday night, but just know Friday night, some sort of show I will be on. Just mark it on your calendars because I'm trying to cook something up with another podcast. Look, they've been trying to sit down with me to talk Superman. It's nobody that I've ever sat down with before, had a conversation with before, but they're kind of on the opposite side of the spectrum of what I feel and what a lot of others that follow this channel feel. So they want to have a conversation about that, about the Snyderverse, that kind of stuff. And they wanted to debate at first, but I was kind of like, well, there's not really much to debate because I enjoy the Snyderverse. I like the Snyderverse. It's not the Snyderverse that I don't agree with. It's the people. So, it's like the people that I don't agree with, but they do want to sit down and have a conversation in regards to Superman at least. So we'll see if we're able to get that worked out for Friday night. If not, we will just have a Watchtower that night. So keep a lookout for that. What is going on, everybody in the chat? We got Hunter Iggy in here, says, Slav, what's up? What's going on? Says no co-partner today. No co-partner today. I'm trying to kind of just ease back into some things, back into the normal habits of things. I will start bringing people back on in the next couple weeks. Things kind of got crazy on the build up to Superman, and I want to get back into the swing of just being back to the normal type of show, if that makes sense. Trayvon says 2 trips to theaters for Superman, a blast, greatest roller coaster ride that ever was. Awesome indeed. Trayvon says, who's they? Lethal Geeks? Not Lethal Geeks. No, I don't think that'll ever be a thing. Definitely not. I think, honestly, I think they dislike me more than, and I don't even think Aaron Fisher dislikes me, but I think Lethal Geeks 100% dislikes me. They basically all but threatened me that one time on like a Twitter thread. was like, what are you trying to say? Like, what are you threatening me about? Like, it was really bizarre. Like, they are a really bizarre group of people for sure. Critic Chris says, got a question about MCU. Shoot if you do. Trayvon, I'm not going to discuss the age of my mother. You know, women don't like to be don't like to have their age revealed. Like, come on, man, that's not right. Critic Chris, any thoughts whether or not we'll see the Skrulls again? I think it's possible. But after Secret Invasion, yeah, that was terrible. Let's not even get into that. I think it's possible though. Kevin Davis, people just want to trash Marvel Studios right now. I don't know who's trashing Marvel Studios. I can't wait to see the Fantastic Four first steps. I can't wait to see it. I've been looking forward to this movie since it's been announced. I've been hoping this movie is good. I just haven't liked the marketing that they've done for it. I'm not saying that it's been bad marketing. I just haven't liked the marketing. I don't think the trailers have done well. The TV spots that we've seen over the last like 2 or 3 weeks, I think have been great. But the trailers haven't been good. I'm not trashing the MCU in that regard. And I loved Thunderbolts. I'm one of the few who actually really enjoyed Captain America Brave New World. I'm not going to say really enjoyed it, but I enjoyed it more than a lot of other people did. I'm not trashing it. Critic Chris says Aaron threatened. No, it wasn't Aaron that threatened me. It was Lethal Geeks that threatened me. And it wasn't like they threatened me. They kind of like all but threatened me. Like the way that they were talking, it was almost like a threat, but not quite a threat. Like, yeah, it was really bizarre. They were kind of like, keep talking and you'll see what happens. It was kind of like a comment like that. It's like, what are you talking? Like, really? Really? Whatever. Kevin Davis says, domestic box office is saving Superman at the box office. Yeah, we're going to get into the box office for Superman in a bit. Trayvon says, why so serious, Slav? Kevin Davis, good writing wouldn't change anything at all. People keep calling everything woke or pushing political agenda. Yeah, yes and no. I mean, Kevin, you're actually not wrong, because take a look at Superman. There's a group of people who are sitting there trying to say that Superman has some kind of political agenda behind it. And I'm somebody who will call it out when I see it. If I see that they're pushing a political agenda or that it is quote unquote woke or something like that, I will call it out. And I did not see that in that movie at all. Sure, there's some similarities because of the issues when it comes to the one country invading the other, but this movie was written before the stuff in Israel took place. So it's kind of like, well, like you can't sit there and say James Gunn wrote this because of that. You know, it's just people want to sit there and try and make things line up with certain things, and it's just people are ridiculous is all. That's all. Yeah. Critic Chris says, yeah, I was wondering if the whole Skrull story would be ignored. You can't ignore it at this point. However, we'll talk a little bit about what some of the things that Kevin Feige said recently. I think some things are going to be not ignored, but maybe kind of not rewritten, but kind of shifted in a way. So we'll see how that happens. Critic Chris says he enjoyed Thunderbolts. A lot of people did. It just didn't make money. Trayvon says, I'm actually looking forward to Fantastic Four. I will say, trailer TV spot-wise, Superman outclassed Fantastic Four in every way, but let's see the movie. I agree. Critic Chris says, they can dish it. I guess you're talking about Lethal Geeks. They can dish it, but can't take it. Ain't that the truth? Sam Dan Review says, Slav, you need to do a video about movies TV mad. He claimed that he saw Superman 2 weeks before it came out, and the Lethal Geeks shout him out. Look, I don't know who movies TV mad is. It's possible he saw it 2 weeks beforehand, because there was a lot of influencers and YouTubers and stuff like that got to see it a couple weeks beforehand. So whether he did or not, it's possible. I don't know who he is. I don't know how how big he is or anything like that. So it's possible he got to see it before the movie came out. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know who he is. Let's see. Trayvon says, always remember Superman was written during the Biden administration. Critic Chris, one of my friends just saw Superman and said there was no politics in Superman, just haters stirring things up. Yes, absolutely. Hungry Almighty, the scroll thing will be ignored and the anchor being bullshit will also be ignored. Yeah, hopefully. Amari says, what I missed? Nothing. We just got started. Just reading through some of these comments that are flying through like crazy. Rendula, how's it going? How much do you think Superman will do on international box office by end of its run? That's a couple stories down the line. So Randula, if you stick around, I will get into that. I think it'll do well, but it's not going to do extremely well internationally. We'll say that. Sam Dan reviews. He didn't see the movie. He likes in Cyprus. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's move to the first thing. And unfortunately, I have to bring this up because I mean this is kind of big. This is impactful. This affects pop culture. This affects a lot of things. I mean, he was a staple in the music industry for 60 years essentially, and I mean he had a small like his voice was in a movie called Moulin Rouge years ago. He had a show on MTV, The Osbournes. He's popped up in random things here and there throughout the years. But Ozzy Osbourne was a staple in so many things when it came to music, the music industry, whether it was Black Sabbath or just as Ozzy Osbourne. He was a phenomenal artist, a great singer. Yeah, I mean, he's calls himself the Dark Prince of metal. Some crazy antics throughout his career and things like that. And if you're not a big fan of metal, you may not appreciate his music, but I do encourage you to at least open your mind and appreciate what he brought to music as a whole, to the genre of metal, to the genre of rock and everything like that, because he did a lot for music over the years. And so he did. He sadly passed away this morning at the age of 76. It was announced. He, like I said, is a legend, as I put. He was a legend. Back in 2006, got to see him perform live. It was one of those things like back then, there was even talk as far back as 2006 that he was going to be retiring. So when they were doing an Ozfest at that time, which I don't know how many of you know, but Ozfest, it was this festival that would travel around every summer, and it would be a whole bunch of bands that would get together and travel around, and Ozzy would typically be one of the headliners. Well, this specific Ozfest was supposed to be his last Ozfest. And because of that, he was like, I don't want to be the headliner. I don't want to be on the main stage. I want to be on the second stage because the second stage is smaller. You're closer to the fans. And that's what he wanted to do. So I went to that Ozfest and I was about like 6 rows from the stage and got to see Ozzy perform up there. And it was really, really cool. But I mean, like there was a hose on the stage, and he picked up the hose and was like squirting all of us fans with the hose. It was a really hot day, and he was like doing all that kind of stuff. But that was supposed to be like his last tour. But then for the next 20 years, he continued to tour, essentially, not the whole time, because then he had health issues and things like that. And then his final concert was just about like less than 3 weeks ago. His final performance was held, and it was a bittersweet end for his career, and he passed away. But again, the impact that he's left on the music industry and the music that he's left behind will never be forgotten. So, honestly, if you are a fan of Ozzy, if you love his work, everything like that, leave in the comments what's your favorite song of Ozzy, or Black Sabbath, or favorite moment. Did you watch the Osbournes when it was on TV? What was your favorite moment from there? When he went, "Yo, Sharon," things like that. What are your favorite moments of Ozzy Osbourne? If you have any, let me know in the comments. But all right, moving on. Let's see. Fantastic Four First Steps. Let's talk about some of these early reviews. Have you, or will we, or can we? What am I saying? I don't know. Fantastic Four has an 87% certified fresh over on Rotten Tomatoes, which is way better than the other Fantastic Four movies, which all of them are all like certified rotten on Rotten Tomatoes, but that's okay. This one is at 87%. It came out with an 88%. It's dropped down to an 87. It's about where I expected it to be. I figured it would be mid 80s. I'm sure it'll probably drop down to like 84, 85% before it's all said and done. That's pretty much what I expected it to be. Again, I expect this movie to be a lot of fun. I do. I expect it to be fun. Critics typically love Marvel movies. We know that. We do. We know they typically love Marvel movies. I'm more interested in seeing how the fans are going to react. I really do. So let's take a look and see what some of the reviewers are saying. So let's look at the top critics. That's what I want to see, because the top critics are kind of the ones that like are really big with the Rotten Tomatoes-ness of everything. So Odie Henderson from the Boston Globe says, unfortunately, neither a time frame change nor the work of four screenwriters, it had four screenwriters, can fix the central problem with Fantastic Four movies, with one exception. The team members are colossal bores. Ouch. He gives it a 1.5 out of 4. Rafer Guzman of Newsday says strong performances and gorgeous production design enhance an otherwise middling Marvel installment, gives it a 2.5 out of 4. So, I mean, it's not like an overly strong review, but I mean, it's middling. Johnny Alexinsky, whatever. New York Post says First Steps marks a slight improvement from the preceding trilogy of terror, but Marvel still can't nail what should be one of its premier attractions. 1.5 out of 4. Nell Minow from Movie Mom. After 3 unsatisfactory tries, Marvel Studios got it right. Gorgeously produced, well cast, dazzling visuals, gracefully relegating the origin story to a few archival clips and putting our quartet and us right in the middle of the action. Excuse me. So, she enjoyed it. Matt Zoller from RogerEbert.com. This is a solid, intelligent, occasionally inspired comic book movie that delivers most of what popular audiences demands from the genre, plus a little bit more. 3.5 out of 4. David Fear from Rolling Stone. To say that the version we get in Fantastic Four First Steps is the best screen adaptation to date of the group means that a low bar has been cleared, though the world building around them is truly an achievement. Alan Johnson from San Francisco Chronicle. The key to its success is to focus on family and hope. All right. Dominic Bays. First Steps is the movie this family of heroes deserves. It's heartfelt, action-packed, and just plain fun. Fantastic indeed. So, I mean, we're getting a pretty solid look that a lot of people really enjoy this for the most part. Fred Topple from United Press, though, says, a confusing reintroduction of the comic book superheroes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Failing to balance its tone, the movie is just no fun. Sean Burns from North Shore Movies. The muted pop art colors don't even pop, because the last thing you'd want from a Fantastic Four movie is for things to get too fantastical. Mike Massey from Gone with the Twins. A lack of camaraderie and chemistry is fatal here. Even their Wally-like servant robot is upsettingly uncharismatic. Interesting. Don Shanahan, every movie has a lesson. Living up to its subtitle, to venture into a higher level of solidarity, the Fantastic Four First Steps presents the proper elevated level of accountability and character connection that comes with family. So we've got a little bit of everything here. A little bit of everything. Some good, some bad. Again, that's kind of what you should expect from a movie like this. But for the most part, most people are liking it. It's got, like I said, an 87% right now score, if I can get back to it here. Come on, you can do it. Yeah, 87% right now. So it's not bad. I mean, it's not. I mean, that's very good, very admirable for it. So it's doing it's going to do well, I believe, in the theaters. So that's exciting. I'm excited about that. The really funny review that we saw, and go check it out. IGN, I forgot to pull it up. IGN says that it is a superhero film that is too much of a superhero film. Like they literally they're complaining about a superhero movie being too superhero-y. Like what? Like if I'm not mistaken, people were all excited about Superman because Superman was like, "Hey, this is the most comic book movie ever." Yeah. And now people are complaining because Fantastic Four is too superhero-y. You just can't win. I tell you, this is ridiculous. I think it's crazy and ridiculous. It really is. But this is exciting to hear. I like to see it. But let me know what you guys think. Are you excited to see these types of reviews? Are you excited to see that it's got an 87% so far on Rotten Tomatoes? What do you think you're going to see from the fans once the fans start to get their reactions and their reviews on here? What do you think they're going to have? I've already seen some of the YouTubers who've gotten to see it. Some of the influencers have already started to talk about it, giving their scores on like TikTok and YouTube. They're kind of giving their reactions and their scores. But what do you think their scores will be? Let me know in the comments below. What are you saying over here? All right. Let's see. Trevon says, who knew July of this year would spur the renaissance for comic book movies? Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, between Superman and most likely Fantastic Four here, people are losing their minds. I mean, Superman has so much going for it right now. People are loving it. I literally just watched a TikTok before my show here. I was scrolling through TikTok. I did some yard work and I was relaxing before the show. And I was scrolling through, and there was this woman who's like sitting there. She goes, went and saw Superman for the second time. Took some of my friends because they said they haven't seen it yet, and we told them we go with them. And I'm sitting here and kind of bored. Wanted to just relax today, and flipping through the channels to see what I want to watch. And all I want to watch is Superman, but I can't because it's not on TV. It's only been in theaters for 5 minutes, but all I want to do is watch Superman. Like that's what that movie is doing for people. It's getting people excited. People want to keep watching it. People want to see it again and again and again, but they can't because it's only in theaters right now. I tell you what, when that movie hits streaming, those streaming numbers are going to be popping off like crazy. It's going to pop off on streaming. It's gonna do fantastic there, for sure. And I think Fantastic Four is gonna do phenomenally well in the theaters as well, specifically in its first and probably second week. We'll see where it goes from there, but I'm excited for Fantastic Four. Marvel needs a win here. Thunderbolts was so good. It's so disappointing that it didn't do well. If Fantastic Four can even be 3/4, half as good as Thunderbolts, I hope that it gets the flowers that it deserves. I do. Critic Chris says, I'm not sure what to expect from Fantastic Four. I know I want to buy the Galactus popcorn bucket. I'm not spending $75 on that. I can tell you that much. Trayvon says DC with Superman, Marvel with Fantastic Four. Show off. Let's go. Critic Chris, this July is a new record for me seeing movies in a month. 4 movies in 4 weeks. You go, man. Trayvon, finally, we can put to rest that meme of The Incredibles being the best big screen adaptation of the Fantastic Four. Can we, though? I mean, even if this movie's a banger, can you say it's better than The Incredibles? I'm just saying, like, The Incredibles is an amazing film. Still one of my favorite Pixar films or Disney films. Is it Pixar? Is it Pixar or is it just Disney? I can't remember. Regardless, it's one of my favorite Disney movies to this day. Trayvon says, I would love to know IGN's thoughts on Superman. Yeah, I know whenever they first came out, I think we did read it at one point, but I don't remember what it is. Yeah, they also gave Penguin, that's right, Trayvon, they gave Penguin 5 out of 10, which is, I mean, yeah, they're a video game site. Like, why do they even care about movies? It's ridiculous. Amari says, hate for no reason. Exactly. Rendula, do you think we're going to have a Barbenheimer-like situation with Superman and Fantastic Four? I think they're both going to do very well. I don't think neither one's going to hit $1 billion. So don't think either one's going to hit $1 billion. Like with Barbenheimer, both of them, got to that $1 billion mark right there. Neither one of these are going to hit billion. But they're both going to do well. Superman, if the legs continue to go as strong as they have been the first week and a half, Superman can hit 700 million globally total. Absolutely. Fantastic Four. I need to see these first week numbers, and I need to see the movie on Thursday to give me a strong indication of what this movie can possibly do. Like I said, the trailers didn't impress me. I also don't think this movie is as accessible to the 4 quadrants like Superman is. For instance, my 5-year-old daughter, she couldn't care less about this movie. My 11-year-old daughter couldn't care less about this movie. But you know what they did care about? Superman. They wanted desperately to go see Superman, and they did. They don't care about going to see Fantastic Four. And there's a difference, and that's part of the difference there. That's not to say that it's not going to do better than Superman. It very well could. But the legs, the impact that this movie will have compared to Superman, I don't think it's going to be as impactful as Superman. Chris says $75. Scratch that idea. Yeah, I didn't know. I can't believe you didn't know that. Yeah, it's $75. Brian with an I. I've written off Marvel. They're not showing any signs of righting the ship. Oh, that's unfortunate. I say give Fantastic Four a watch. Maybe you'll like it. Here's the thing. Despite all of the bad that's come out of Marvel, I still give it a chance. Like I even do that with Star Wars. Like despite all of the crap that's come from Star Wars, but Star Wars obviously is my first love when it comes to pulp culture, so I'm always going to give that a shot. Marvel's like down on the list. Marvel's like 3 on the list for me. So, it's still going to get my attention, but yeah, I don't know. Like I say give it a shot still. Hunter Iggy, what is your thoughts on John O'Rourke? What about John O'Rourke? What is there something I don't know? Can you expand on that, Hunter? Let's see. Hunter Almighty. Fantastic Four doesn't have the same attraction as Superman. It's like comparing Daredevil to Flash. Yeah, that's a good comparison. Trayvon, could Fox have made this? Probably not, no. Randula, how much do you think the domestic opening for Fantastic Four will be? My bet is 115. There's a lot of hype right now around it. The reviews are definitely helping. I'm hearing a lot of excitement from comic book movie fans for this movie. Again, it doesn't have the impact that Superman had. Superman opened at 125 domestically. So domestically, I'm going to say, yeah, 110 to 115. That sounds about accurate. I won't be surprised if it opens higher. Not at all. But I can't imagine it opening less than 110. I can't see it opening less than 110. Amari says running a franchise this long, you're bound to have mistakes. Absolutely. And Kevin Feige talks about that. We'll get into that in a few minutes here. Kevin Davis, I noticed y'all talk about course correct when it come Disney, when it not catering to white folks. Stop the excuses. Wait, what? When it come Disney, when it not catering to white folks. Stop the excuse. I have no idea what you're getting at, Kevin. I don't know what you're getting at, my man. I don't know what you're talking about. All right. The next thing I want to talk about, we're going to stray away from comic book stuff for a second here. I'm excited about this. Ted Lasso season 4 has kicked off production on season 4. Yeah, season 4 has kicked off production in Kansas City. I don't know. I may have said season 4 too many times there. Regardless, season 4 has kicked off production in Kansas City. I don't know if you guys are fans of Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso, those first 3 seasons were probably some of the best television that we had, some of the most heartwarming, best television that we've had in a long, long time. Absolutely loved it. When season 3 ended and they were talking about it not coming back, I was very disappointed. I was upset, but I kind of understood. I understood that, it was a lot of work to make that show happen in the UK. I mean, and to take the time, the months, and to be away from family for that amount of time. So I understood it. But it looks like they're moving the show to America, at least for part of it. I don't know. Well, I'm excited. So let's see what happens. I'm pumped. We're getting a season 4. Let's see how it goes. But season 4 has kicked off production. So let's go. I'm excited. All right. Next up, Mortal Kombat 2. The trailer has come out for Mortal Kombat 2. All right. Let me talk about Mortal Kombat here for a second. All right. I, being the age of 39 years old, have been around from the very beginning of Mortal Kombat. I remember the first Mortal Kombat game. I remember all of the games, essentially. I remember the first movie. I remember the terrible, terrible second movie back in the 90s. I remember the miniseries that they threw up online in the late 2000s. I remember all of the different things that they've tried with Mortal Kombat over the years. When they came out with that Mortal Kombat movie a few years ago, I sat there and I watched it and I was like, really? This is what they're going to do. All right. It was a letdown. First off, they didn't, it's not that they didn't take any of the characters, the large pantheon of characters that Mortal Kombat has. No. They went and made a brand new character for the main character of the movie. Cool. I was like, all right, look, I can get past this if he's a decent character. And he was okay, but like, come on, you have all of these characters that you could utilize to make the main character of the movie. Like, you can make any of them essentially the main character if you write it properly. Hell, the original movie in the 90s made Liu Kang the main character. Like, you could have just done that again. But no, they didn't. Then they made a decision where they weren't technically in the tournament. And I'm like, what are you doing? So then you had that going against it. So, I mean, it had, like, there were so many issues with the first one. The fighting wasn't bad. The choreography was decent. but it was more like the movie seemed more like it was a setup for what could be. It was kind of like, to me, when I watched that movie, it was kind of like, this is a pitch for what we could do. And it's kind of like, hey, we spent all this money to pitch to studio execs, like, hey, look what we could possibly do. So I was kind of shocked when it was finally like, hey, we're gonna do a Mortal Kombat 2. All right. I mean, the first one was all right, I guess. Okay. So now we get Mortal Kombat 2. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm a big fan of Carl Urban. Like he's a great actor. I love him in almost everything he does. But he's like 90 years old, man. I know he's not 90. I think he's in his 50s. But playing Johnny Cage, like, sure, I get it. And it looks like from the trailer, they're going to have him as an aging actor where, his time is come and gone. And it seems like what they're doing is maybe they're kind of taking this idea where he's like, yeah, he's a martial artist. He's good at what he does, but they think that he's more real than, like, what he's done is more real than it actually is. And they pull him into the tournament. Maybe, I don't know. So is he now the main character? Because that's what I couldn't grasp from the trailer. Like, I couldn't grasp, like, is he now the main character of the story moving forward? Have they just shifted the main character to Carl Urban's, Johnny Cage? Look, this trailer didn't prove to me that this is going to be better than the first, but it also didn't prove to me that it's worse than the first movie. So I'm willing to give it a shot. I sit here, I'm like, Mortal Kombat is not a hard concept. Like, honestly, you go back to that original Mortal Kombat movie, and maybe it's my nostalgia glasses that are on, and I'm not going to sit here and say that it's a masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination, but it was a simplistic story, and they got the story down. The story was so simplistic in that movie. It was like, hey, there's a tournament. We go to the tournament. We're in the tournament, and we fight. Sure, some of the things were a little wonky, but it worked. And it doesn't hurt to have Christopher Lambert in your film either. But it worked. And I don't know why they have to try and make this new story so convoluted. I don't know. But it looks decent in that regard. Like, I think the special effects in this look better, except for whenever the noob Cybot at the end of the trailer, like, he cut somebody in half, and I was just kind of like, that looks terrible. I don't know. I'm hoping that it's good. Like, I want to see great Mortal Kombat stuff, but look, I was burned once with the first Mortal Kombat movie. I don't want to be burned again, so I'm not going to have high hopes for this. That's kind of where I stand with it. But let me know how you feel in the comments below. All right. What do we got here? Amari says, we got a 50-year-old Johnny Cage. Woo! Yeah. The woo just makes me think like it's Ric Flair. Imagine having Ric Flair in there. Critic Chris says, I think only real successful video game to film was a Resident Evil franchise. Did you forget about the Super Mario Brothers movie? It was pretty successful. And then, I mean, you're saying film, but recently Last of Us was huge. Fallout was huge. I mean, I know those are TV shows, but I tell you what, they pretty much, they're pretty big. Let's see what else. Trayvon says, I find it incredibly fascinating that they didn't just take the story from Mortal Kombat 2011 and just split that into a trilogy. Perfect missed opportunity right there. Yeah, again, the games have great storylines that they could just pull from, and they just don't do it. Again, the storylines for Mortal Kombat you can make so simplistic and they just don't do it. I just don't get it. Brian with an eye says Mortal Kombat 2 is something I'm looking forward to. Awesome. Bass Reeve says Fantastic Four about to stomp Superman. Okay, sure. Critic Chris says I was disappointed in Street Fighter because Blanca was a favorite character. Raw Julia, though, was great in that film. That old Street Fighter movie, get out of here. It was so bad. So bad. Let's see. Trayvon says something I'd love to see is live action adaptation of Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe. They're both part of Warner Brothers after all. Yeah, I doubt they're ever going to do it, but would be fun. Excuse me. Josh says Mortal Kombat 2 looks badass. I think it looks all right. Best Lex Luthor, Christopher Lambert, Highlander do special. Unique. Yeah, Christopher Lambert. I tell you what, he was one of those actors back in the 90s that anytime I saw him pop up, I was pumped. Like, he just brings like this gravitas to anything that he does. His gravel voice and just the way he presents himself. And come on, who doesn't love the Highlander films back then? Even look, I know people hate the second Highlander movie, but it's a guilty pleasure of mine. Okay, I admit it is a guilty pleasure of mine. It's terrible. I understand it, but I enjoy the hell out of it because it's so bad. So it is what it is. But Christopher Lambert, absolutely great, and I loved him as Raiden. Absolutely loved him as Raiden. Let's see. Brian with an eye. We got an Asian Raiden too. Yes, we do now have an Asian Raiden. Best Lex Luthor. I'm with you on Mortal Kombat. I'd watch it for a few hours late night, getting me downtime from kiddos, I guess. Josh, Super Mario World and the Donkey Kong spin-off movies are going to do great at the box office. 100%. Critic Chris says, Slav, I thought you were only going over live action adaptation movies. Oh, well, you know. Amari, has anyone rewatched the 2021 version at all? Rewatched it? I don't think so. Best Lex Luthor, Slav, you should do a best bad movie bracketology. Yeah, maybe we should. I should. That'd be fun. Critic Chris, everyone has their guilty pleasure, Slavs. I don't think it's great nor terrible. Same with the 90s Super Mario Brothers. I'd like it for what it was. No, see, that's just terrible. That's just terrible. Trayvon, you're talking to Critic Chris there. Okay. Next thing, we had another trailer drop. This was Tron Ares. Now, Tron Ares is the third movie in the Tron series. The first Tron movie came out in the early 80s. Look, that's a tough watch for even me. Just the terrible special effects. I've watched it one time in my life. It is what it is. I enjoyed it for what it was when I was like 20 years old, but I was kind of like, meh. Tron Legacy, though, came out, what was that, like 2011, 2012, somewhere around there. Tron Legacy came out. And when that came out, I was pumped. I was like, man, this looks fantastic. The trailers looked amazing. Tron Legacy was going to be awesome. It was going to be a huge hit. I thought it was going to be the start for a new franchise for Disney. It was going to take off, be fantastic. And who doesn't love Jeff Bridges? You had Olivia Wilde in it. And then obviously you had, what's his face? Jared Leto in it as well. Plus, you had that amazing soundtrack by Daft Punk. So I went and saw the movie. I actually went and took somebody on a date to see that movie, and I was relatively disappointed. So yeah, I was a little disappointed in it, but I was like, you know what, I'll give it a shot again. So when it came out on video, I watched it again, and honestly, I don't hate the movie. It's just kind of, it's one of those films that just kind of like, I can see why people just don't really dig it. Like the Tron Legacy is what it is. It kind of fell in that time frame with Disney where you like had Tron Legacy that just was like meh. You had John Carter that was just meh. You know, you had the I think it was like the fifth Pirates of the Caribbean movie or the fourth one. Like what? It just people were just like meh. Like their live action movies at that time just weren't hitting for people. So I guess I get it. Like it because for me, it just didn't hit. So it's been what, 20, not 20, 15 years, 16 years, something like that since the last one. And yeah, I mean, this trailer, I think looks great. Now, you have to kind of go at it, a little hesitant here because Jared Leto recently, like, he's more miss than hit. You gotta be careful with Jared Leto movies. But this looks pretty cool with the AI aspect now, like, kind of taking over the world in a certain way. And this whole idea that, the military is going to be utilizing a video game kind of program to utilize and you know kind of use a military force almost. That's kind of what it seems like. So it's really interesting to me to see that. And then you see what really sells this movie is because, if you've watched the 80s movie and then you watch Tron Legacy and then you see this, it's kind of like, holy crap, that stuff's coming into the real world. And seeing the light bikes on the streets of wherever they're at, and the ships flying in the city, you're kind of like, whoa, that's cool looking. I want to watch that. So that's kind of what does it for me. That's what sells me on it. But I'm going to be completely honest. The biggest selling point for me is Nine Inch Nails, not Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, not Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, 9 Inch Nails doing the music for this movie. I am a diehard 9 Inch Nails fan, specifically their early work from 80s and 90s, early 2000s. 9 Inch Nails, look, Trent Reznor grew up about like an hour north of me. I mean, he's a little older than me, but that's where he kind of grew up. He came around and came on tour always through Pittsburgh. I went and saw him. Great performer, fantastic artist, love 9 Inch Nails. So I am looking forward to the music for this movie. 9 Inch Nails, new original 9 Inch Nails music for this movie, I think is going to be fantastic. So I can't wait for that. And I think this movie is going to be pretty fun. I hope it is, at least. I look, yeah, Tron Legacy wasn't great, but maybe they learned their lesson and Ares is going to be better. So we'll see. I want to know what you guys think, though. What do you think this movie is going to be? Do you think it's going to be better? Do you think it's going to be worse than Legacy? Let me know in the comments below. Let's see. Where are we at? I missed something here. There we go. Josh says, Tron Ares looks mid to me, but the music will be great. Exactly. Come on. When you have 9 Inch Nails doing the music, you know it's going to be great, right? As long as it's like 9 Inch Nails from the past. Look, being a big 9 Inch Nails fan, pretty much 9 Inch Nails from like 2008 after hasn't been great. But you know what? I can give them a pass because of how great 9 Inch Nails was earlier on. Trayvon says, to be fair, Slav, no Tron, no Pixar. Okay. I don't know why, but okay. Amari says, third time's a charm. Oh, yeah, there you go. Brian with an eye says, Legacy was one of those spectacle over substance movies. Still enjoyed it. I get that. Amari says, it's Morbin time. No. No. That Sony's going to re-release Morbius again just to see. Oh, man. Crazy Joe says, you're in Pittsburgh? I'm in Philly. I'm just outside Pittsburgh. Yeah. I mean, I grew up 5 minutes outside Pittsburgh. I'm a little further out of Pittsburgh now, but yeah. And you're in Philly? That's crazy, Joe. Hey, Pennsylvania. Woo! Although Penguins are better than Flyers. Just want to say. Brian with an eye. I need positive word of mouth for Ares. I agree. 9 Inch Nails could be amazing. Critic Chris says Wreck-It Ralph got me playing. You're talking about. I don't care about that. Sorry, Critic Chris. I don't care about that. Crazy Joe. I'm excited for Tron. I love the first two movies so much. I'm so excited for the third one. I just wish Jared Leto wasn't in it. I think that's the sentiment of a lot of people. Look, I like Jared Leto as an actor. Even as a musician, I don't mind him. But honestly, like, he's been pretty missed lately. So, yeah, I kind of wish I had somebody else in there just because I feel like it might bode well better for the movie. All right. Superman box office, guys. I know you've all been waiting for this. I know this is what you've all been waiting for. All right. So, and trust me, we still got more to talk about. Got a lot to talk about. All right. So, Superman box office. Currently, as of July 22nd at 9:19 p.m. Eastern Time, domestic is at $243 million. Worldwide, $416 million. Okay. There's a group of people out there who want to sit there and say, Slav, that's terrible. That's horrendous. It's a flop. It's a flippity flop. It's bad. If it doesn't do better than Man of Steel, oh man, you better look out. What's the point? Look, no. Honestly, we're what? 12, 13 days into this movie? 12, 13 days into this movie, guys. This in 2025 is phenomenal. Okay? Phenomenal. This movie is going to finish well over 500, probably over 600, could potentially hit 700. Let's not forget that this film has, let's see, it's been 12 days, still has nearly 80 days left in the theater minimum. Exclusively has about 30 days left in the theater minimum. 35 days, 30, 35 days left in the theater minimum, something like that. Okay? Exclusively in the theater. Now, I know that Fantastic Four comes out this week, and absolutely Fantastic Four is going to take the weekend. Like, there's no getting around that. Like, you know that there's going to be people that come out this Friday or this Sunday and say, oh, look at that. Fantastic Four beat Superman this weekend. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, no shit, you idiot. Like, of course it did. It's a brand new movie. Superman's been out for 2 weeks. Like, what do you expect? This is his third week. Like, what do you expect? So yeah, it makes sense. But here's the thing. Superman has legs. Talked about it a little bit earlier. People love this movie. People are going to see it 2, 3, 4 times in the theater. And that's huge. Okay, that is absolutely big. People don't do that for movies that they don't like. People don't do that for movies that aren't good. They don't. Now, why is it only at 416 worldwide? Because domestically, it is tearing shit up. Tearing shit up domestically. Like, domestically, it is doing phenomenally well. It's going to surpass 300 domestically, which is fantastic. Fantastic. And look, I don't care about this whole comparison of Man of Steel crap because I think it's stupid. You can't compare a movie in 2025 to a movie in 2013 and say it has to do better than that because it's stupid. You can't do it. You cannot do it because what is going on in 2025 is completely different than what's going on in 2013. But I will tell you people, any of you out there that want to sit there and try and compare it, when all is said and done, Superman will have a better domestic total than Man of Steel. So there you go, buddy. Like, there you go. It's only like what 50 away, not even 50 away, like 50, not even 50 away from it now. Like, yeah, it's gonna surpass it domestically. So there you have it. Anyway, but domestically, it's tearing shit up. World, like internationally though, around the world, it's only at 173. It's not hot. It's gonna hit 200. I'm guessing it's gonna be like 250 probably when all is said and done. 240, 250. Maybe more. I don't know. It's struggling internationally. And I think, James Gunn said that Currently around the world, people are, not very keen on the idea of America. I get that. That could be true. Very true. But I don't think it's just that. I think Superman has not ever really done great internationally. Now, let me pull something up here. Man of Steel did well. If I knew how to spell. Man of Steel did 379, so it made 56% of its revenue worldwide. Domestically did 291. Okay? So it did well internationally. It did. Let's see Superman Returns. Oh, well, only 191 internationally. So Man of Steel did better. Okay. I don't know if you can get Superman the movie. I don't know if you're going to see that stuff. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of difficult to really tell. It did better internationally than domestically. So, one thing I did want to see is this here. The reason why I pull this up is because you can see internationally 400, domestically 369, pretty close to each other, 52%, 47%. But let's see the most recent movies. Again, very close to each other, 50, 49%. And then this 51 to 48. So Superman just isn't hitting it internationally. It's just not. So what is it? Because if it was a bad movie, you would see that reflective in the domestic totals as well. Like, let's face it, you would see if it is a bad movie, if people just don't like the movie, if it is just a piss poor movie, it would show that, it would be reflective across the board. So there is obviously something that is holding people back internationally. Now, people sit there and say, well, China hasn't been really a factor in box office for quite some time. So we can throw that out of the water. The Asian market as a whole, throw that out of the water. It's not really that big of a deal. But the rest of the international market just isn't going to see Superman. Could it be because of that? Could it be because of what's going on with America right now, and the way that we're viewed on how we've handled things politically, with what's going on in other countries? Maybe. I don't know. Like, I don't have the answer for that. Like, that to me is something that's really bizarre, because regardless of what people want to say, this to me doesn't tell me that this is a bad movie. This tells me that there is some other divide going on from this movie and the rest of the world. Like, what is it? One, is it hard to go see the movie? Like, I don't know. Like, is there something that's holding them back from going to see it? What is it? Is it that they just don't care? What like, is there not enough marketing in the, like, I don't know. Like, I would love to find out. And I know there's all the theorizing. I know there's all the haters that want to sit there and say, no, people just hate it. But you cannot ascertain that from this information, because, like I said, if it was a bad movie, if it was solely because this movie is bad, you would see that across the board. You would see domestic and international numbers low. But domestically, it is tearing shit up. It's tearing shit up. I still have hope that it could hit. I still have hope that it could hit 700. I do. But in order for that to do that, you're looking at, international needing to do a big boost. Like, I'm saying you would need to see domestic hit 350, international having to hit 250. And it could happen. I'm not saying it can't happen. It could happen. That's what I would love to see. Maybe it does, but I I don't know. Let me know your thoughts though. Love to hear what you have to say in the comments below. Um, that's even not 7. That's what 350, 250. No, that would need to be 400 and 300. Man, yeah, 700 is probably out of the question at this point. 700 is probably out of the question. I mean, really looking at it, honestly, looking at it, yeah, my math was not mathing there. My math was not mathing. I mean, unless international gets a big boost, if international can get to 300, get to 350, I could see it, but I don't see that happening. 700 is going to be a stretch. It is what it is. The beauty of this though is fans are excited. We do see fans excited. I just want to find out what's going out on internationally. The one thing that's interesting though is I've heard that pre-sales for Fantastic Four internationally are down as well. So let's keep an eye out this weekend to see how Fantastic Four does internationally. Not so much this weekend because international numbers are usually low on opening weekend. Let's wait and see for like week 2, week 3 for those international numbers and see where Fantastic Four sits. That's going to be telling because then we can sit there and say there's something else going on when it comes to American box office, American Hollywood films internationally. That's when we'll really know if there's something going on. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Love to hear what you have to say about all this. All right, I want to run through this real quick because I do want to get to the Kevin Feige story here still, guys. Let's see. Let's see. Josh says, you think Supergirl can make good money? I've seen time and time again female-led super movies don't do well at the box office. I mean, what was it? Wonder Woman made what, 800? Captain Marvel made $1 billion. Sure, the Marvels made crap money, but that movie had a lot of crap surrounding it. Wonder Woman 84 was just a shit movie. So I disagree with you. I think if it's written well and they're talking very highly about this movie, I think it can do very well. My concern with Supergirl, there's 2 things. One is the star power of Millie Alcock is not there. So you have a very, very unknown commodity in Millie Alcock as the titular character. That's going to hurt it. Number 2 is you're in your second movie. So I don't see Supergirl making $1 billion either. But I could see Supergirl making maybe $100 million more than Superman or $150 million more than Superman, which is a win. Again, it's the small steps. It's taking one step at a time. Even if it just matches Superman's box office, you're still moving in the right direction. At least you're not falling backwards. So that's kind of how you want to see it. Amari says, let's boycott Warner Brothers, but watch Man of Steel and other DCU movies on stream. Trayvon says Superman already outgrows Shazam 1, 2, Birds of Prey, Wonder Woman 84, Suicide Squad, Black Adam, The Flash, Blue Beetle, and Joker 2. You better believe that's a success in the eyes of Warner Brothers. Absolutely. Not to mention that it is going to surpass what the average comic book movie currently makes in the box office and has made over the last 2 years. On top of that, take a look at all of the intricacies that are going on in the industry right now. It's doing well. Like, it's making money and doing well. People just refused to acknowledge that. They want to sit there and say, well, look at what Man of Steel made. Look at what Batman vs. Superman made. Yeah, those movies made money because it was in the middle of the superhero boom when ticket sales were up 40, 50%, 30 to 40 to 50% of what they are today. That's why they made so much money, but they don't think about that. Josh says, I think Superman would have made more with a different release date. Problem is, we don't know that for sure. Because look at the first two weeks. First off, Jurassic World wasn't a problem for it in its opening week. It just wasn't. It wouldn't have made more than 125 with or without Jurassic World opening the week before domestically. So it wouldn't have made a difference there. So that's no problem. The bulk of the box office is made in the first 2 weeks. So it made the bulk of its money in these 2 weeks. I don't think it would have made a difference. It just wouldn't have. I don't think it would have. Crazy Joe says it was never going to do well overseas because of the anti-American sentiment due to Trump. See, I disagree because I think there's less anti-American sentiment this presidency than there was last presidency. But that's just me. I think there's something else going on, but you might be right. I don't think it's about Trump. I think it's just about America as a whole. Honestly, I don't think it's about Trump, but that's just my opinion. Josh says, weird how foreign box office is so low because wouldn't you want to watch Superman to understand the future movies of this new DCU? Again, look at streaming. People are probably going to wait till it comes on streaming to watch it. I mean, they'll watch it. Just, we'll see. Randola says Superman is set to surpass Man of Steel domestically, so we can confirm that the wall is closed movement was a huge failure. Oh, 100%. The wall is closed movement was a failure, drastic, a huge failure. I've already planted my flag telling all them that. It's hilarious. It's hilarious how big of a failure that was. Randola says, I think superhero image are just heavily damaged around the world. Even Marvel's not doing well internationally. Let's see. What else we got? All right. I'm going to move on here. Last story of the night. So Kevin Feige sat down and answered a whole bunch of questions regarding the MCU. He kind of spilled the beans and talked about a bunch of different things about what's going on with Marvel, what has happened with Marvel, and things like that. So Hollywood Reporter actually did a pretty good job on kind of giving some bullet points. I'm going to go over a few of them here and kind of discuss what they are, and we'll cover some of the bigger ones as well, and more in depth. So the first one here that I want to talk about is the Thunderbolts. Why Thunderbolts failed, even though it's a very good film. He says, it's the expansion that I think led people to say, do I have to see all of these? It used to be fun, but now do I have to know everything about all of these? And I think the Marvels hit it hardest where people were like, okay, I recognize her from a $1 billion movie, but who are those other two? I guess they were in some TV show. I'll skip it. All right. So this is where he kind of gets things a little wrong because he's trying to play it safe. He doesn't want to say the wrong thing here. He's being very diplomatic for the most part. But let's face it, he's not going to say what the elephant in the room is. So Thunderbolts, he's not wrong on that in that regard. Thunderbolts was a good movie, but it was filled with B characters. It was not any of your star characters. It was characters that some may not even remember or recognize. The only one most people probably recognize is Bucky, maybe Florence Pugh's character, because Florence Pugh's kind of on the rise as an actress. But everybody else is kind of like, who are these people? Like, where are they from? Like, where'd they come from? And that's not Captain America. Why does he look like Captain America, but not Captain America? Like, there's a whole bunch of like, who are these people? Why should I care? So that's kind of why Thunderbolts, I think, failed. But when he gets into the Marvels, that's where he's kind of wrong. Because, look, whether you want to agree with it or not, he doesn't want to say this, but people out in the world just didn't want to watch the movie because, yes, it had 3 female-led characters. And was this time and period for Hollywood where they were pushing all of these ideas of, female empowerment, female leaders, put the man down, especially if you're a white male, white straight male, you got to be put down. Like that's what was going on in Hollywood. And that's why people didn't want to go see the Marvels. And that is true. That is 100% true. That is why people didn't want to go see it, because of that perception. Because of that perception. So while maybe it was some of the, who's this Tiana Parrish character? Who's this Iman Vellani character? Sure, but when you have Brie Larson, who was from a $1 billion movie, that's going to pull people back in. Or maybe you should just call it Captain Marvel 2 and everybody would come and see it then. So that's kind of why it happened. He just didn't want to say that because he didn't want to spark controversy, but we know what it is. We know what it is. So now he also talks about, excuse me, they talk about if Feige's staying put at Marvel. He says, do I want to be making big movies for big audiences in 10, 15 years from now? Yes, absolutely. That's all I want to do, he said. Marvel's a great way to do that for me right now, but I hope to make big movies for lots of people forevermore. He addresses Jonathan Majors for the first time without talking about Jonathan Majors. This is interesting. He said, we had started, even before what had happened to the actor happened, we had started to realize that Kang wasn't big enough, wasn't Thanos, and that there was only one character that could be that, because he was that in the comics for decades and decades. Because of the Fox acquisition, we finally had it, and it was Doctor Doom. So we had started talking about Doctor Doom even before we officially pivoted from Kang. And in fact, I had started talking with Robert Downey Jr. about the audacious idea before Ant-Man 3 even came out. It was a long plan that we had to take one of our greatest characters and utilize one of our greatest actors. So this one is really interesting because Beau DeMayo, I don't know if you know who he is. Beau DeMayo was the showrunner behind X-Men 97 before he got fired from the show last summer. And ever since then, he has been very salty when it comes to Marvel and been calling them out for a lot of their bullshit. He called bullshit on this specific comment because he talks about how he had conversations with people at Marvel about the future of everything and how they were going to possibly utilize Kang in X-Men and things like that, and helping build up to Kang and things like that. So whether it's true or not, whatever it is, but it's kind of odd how Kang prior to Ant-Man and the Wasp was only used as he who shall not be named or cannot be named or he who remains or whatever his name was in Loki season 1. And then before he's even popping up in Ant-Man 3, they're like, yeah, we're not going to use him. We're going to use Doctor Doom. Like, that's kind of ridiculous. Look, Jonathan Majors, regardless of his personal life, which is ridiculous and terrible, he's a fantastic actor. Fantastic actor. He just needs good scripts. You take a look at how he acted in both seasons of Loki. He was a standout in both seasons. He was fantastic in that one episode of Loki season 1 or 2 episodes, whatever it was, and all the episodes that he was in Loki season 2. He was fantastic in those. He was great in Ant-Man 3. So to sit there and say, like, this isn't the right direction, he's not going to be big enough. You don't need, like, this is proving like they don't understand what they were really doing at Marvel, because they felt like we have to get to the next Thanos immediately. Well, the great thing about Marvel was for phase 1, or not phase 1, like the whole saga, like the beginning saga, there wasn't a Thanos immediately. Like, that was the great thing about it. You started out with like a Loki, and Loki was kind of there for a couple, he was a villain of Thor, then he was a villain of the Avengers, and then you had an Ultron, and then you had something else, and then it was Thanos. You know, like it was these few little villains that built up to Thanos. So why couldn't have Kang been one of those? Hey, he's a big villain and he can be a big villain. Maybe not Thanos level, but a big villain. And then you work out Doom in some part or some fashion. To me, that just that this comment here to me shows me that maybe Kevin Feige and his team just kind of doesn't they don't understand what they're doing with Marvel right now. Maybe they do now, but at least then they didn't. They talk about not expecting a live action Miles Morales anytime soon. He says Sony has their brilliant, genius, incredible Spider-Verse animated franchise going, and until that finishes, we've been told to stay away from Miles Morales, which is stupid. They talk about Blade. He says the obstacle was Ryan Coogler called and said we'd love some costumes for Sinners, and we said take the man. He's our good friend. Take our costumes. We'll hold off on the movie. So originally Blade was going to be a period piece. They then took the costumes from what Blade was going to be a period piece and used it in Sinners. That's kind of what happened. But yeah, so that's kind of how it is. That's what happened partially with Blade, I guess. Whatever. Will there be more R-rated films? And let's see, what did he say here? He said, what did he say? Where's that? Where did I miss? Yes, there will be more R-rated stories coming. Deadpool and Wolverine, as well as Daredevil, have shown that Marvel is becoming more and more comfortable with pushing stories that are adult-oriented, but its characters can appear in age-appropriate settings when needed. It's all a way to keep audiences interested and invested. Feige pointed out you can have the Green Goblin build snowmen in Disney Plus Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, but then kill Aunt May in Spider-Man No Way Home. Punisher is another example. The violent vigilante played by John Bernthal is the subject of a special that just began shooting last week and will air on Disney Plus next year. It is intended to be TVMA. But when Punisher is in the Spider-Man movie, it'll be a different tonality, said Feige, confirming the character is in the next Spidey film. This is ridiculous. Feige likes the flexibility of going into production without a set script. He says there's there's plussings happening every day on Avengers Doomsday set right now. And it's amazing to watch because what this film those actors, both the ones that are playing these characters for the first and second time, the ones playing them for the 10th or the 12th time, are the best in the world at it and know these characters so well, said Feige. So if they have an idea, you want to listen to it and you want to adjust to it, and you want to improve it. I wouldn't want to chat. Yeah. So to me, like, I don't know. I'm one of these people that when it comes to a script, specifically for a movie as big as something like Doomsday, you need to have a done script. Like you need to have a script that's a set script and you shoot the damn movie. Yeah, when you're working on the movie, you can talk about things and maybe change things up here and there, sure. But you need to have a locked script going into the film. At least have something locked because then it's just a whole clusterfuck. It really is. I don't know. That's just my opinion. But what do I know? What do I know? I'm just some Joe Schmo who sits here and talks at a computer screen and some other Joe Schmoes who listen to me. I don't know. But let me know your thoughts on all this. I think it's really interesting, what he says here. It seems like it's more damage control when it comes to Marvel right now. They got nothing after Fantastic Four. Technically, Marvel Studios has nothing until Doomsday. I know Spider-Man comes out before it next July, but technically Marvel Studios doesn't have a movie until Doomsday. Sony has Spider-Man next July, which fits in the MCU, but yeah, I mean, they got nothing. So I think he's kind of just like, hey, here's what's going on right now. Here you go. Here's some things. Enjoy it. Let's talk for a little bit. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. All right, what are you guys saying over here? Let's finish off strong, guys. Trying Trayvon says, how Feige didn't get fired after the Marvels lost more money than the Flash is beyond me. I mean, he got a lot of stock in there from after what he did with Endgame and Infinity War. Josh says, MCU also feels like homework trying to catch up with shows and movies. Interesting, though, the one thing that wasn't in this here, he mentions how Secret War is going to be a reset. And he talks about how a reset is can be taken in different ways for different people. But it's going to be a reset where you're kind of like, hey, you're going to recast some people. You're going to redo things. You're going to bring some new people in. After Secret War, it's going to be a reset for the MCU. So that homework that a lot of people are talking about, like you need to watch all this stuff to get up to here, after Secret War, it's almost like you're starting from scratch again and you won't have all that homework. So you can look at it that way too. Critic Chris says, Young Avengers still in question. I don't think a film is coming. I could be wrong, but you question when the right time would be if they do before reboot of the MCU. I think there's been discussion. I've heard that they are changing it to Champions and not Young Avengers because none of them are young anymore. But that could be off the table as well at this point. Oh, yeah. Amari says they just might call them Champions. Yeah, there you go. Trayvon says that's some horse crap right there. We decided to move on from Kang before the Jonathan Majors controversy. Bull crap. Exactly. It's bull crap. Amari, why they let the post-credit scene be in the movie? Who knows? Amari says Jonathan Majors was one of the biggest up-and-coming actors. What he's saying is bullshit. Exactly. Yeah, Trayvon says Marvel needs some fresh new blood to run things. Sometimes you just do. It's like, coaches on teams. Sometimes you just need a new coach to shake things up. Randola says MCU is finished. It's DCU's turn. I agree. But here's the thing. I want MCU to succeed. I want them to have wins because it's only better for both. Like it's good for DC to have successes and MCU to have successes because it will boost them both up. But that's just my opinion. So I want them both to succeed. Octavian says X-Men is the only thing saving Marvel. Spider-Man is still a Sony property after Secret Wars is X-Men. Correct. Critic Chris says Feige mentioned we'll get a Steve Rogers, Tony Stark, etc. Well, did he mention? He didn't say them by name. He did not mention them by name. I think like what I took from what he was talking about is that he was talking more along the lines of like the X-Men characters, like talking about your Hugh Jackmans, your Patrick Stewarts, and things like that. We're going to see recasting of all those characters and things like that. Maybe we see a recasting of an Iron Man, maybe at some point down the line. But that's kind of the way I looked at it because I don't think they're going to recast Steve Rogers right now, especially because they have a Captain America with what's his name? I can't think of his name right now. Why can't I think of his name right now? Sam Wilson. So like I would like to see him continue because I like him in the role. I'd like to see him continue and build in that role. So I don't think they'll do that kind of thing. Jonathan Noble says the thing that is hurting all the movies coming out last month and this month is the fact that the immigrant community is scared to come out. They're a big part of the movies doing well. We need them to. Amari says people are complaining that the X-Men are going to be young. Well, I mean, if they're young, they're young. I mean, let's see. That's kind of how they were in the comics. So, I mean, what's a big deal? I don't know. Whatever. Octavian, I'm happy the X-Men cast young actors for a new generation of fans. Why not? Cody Chris says, I'm just going off another YouTuber video. They're be recasted in the reset of MCU. Yeah, that's not what I got from his remarks. Not Steve Rogers and Tony Stark. Again, maybe down the line it could happen. maybe, but that's not how I took it. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I could have just taken it the wrong way. That's all. All right, guys. Like I said, next week, this Friday, man, I'm way ahead of myself. This Friday, keep your calendars clear for Friday night. If you're not going out and doing stuff with your friends and family and stuff like that, and you're going to be at home, at the very minimum, there will be a Watchtower, DC Watchtower that Friday. At the very most, there might be something with another podcast where we sit down and we discuss Superman and kind of debate Superman and DCEU and as a whole. That could be fun. So just kind of keep your night clear. Once I find out, I'm hopefully going to get that all squared away over the next day or two, so everybody knows time and everything like that. But yeah, keep your calendars clear for Friday night. And then other than that, I will be back next Monday for Slabs Free Talk podcast. All right, guys, but I'm going to get out of here. I want to get some sleep. Got to go to work tomorrow, all that stuff. So with all that said, guys,